Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome in to a brand new episode of Snaps. It is Wednesday, September 14th. You know what, Aaron? I don't even know what day of the week it is because I'm just out here grinding tape, okay? Just grinding tape 24/7, watching the X's and O's, trying to figure out how the matrix works, trying to figure out what's going to happen with this weekend's college football board. And so, you have questions, we have answers, and we're going to give them to you today, okay? A few topics on the dockets. First, is Texas back? Sark edition. Yes, maybe call it Sark Week, if you will. A question that has been asked many times. Looked like a couple years ago, Aaron, against your very Bulldogs. They had maybe achieved said backness. Did not end up being the case. Is this a boy who cried wolf situation? We'll see. Then we'll talk something very near to my heart, and that is there a little panic in the bayou right now? Is the P-Row taking on water, if you will, as LSU and Mississippi State set to square off in Death Valley this weekend, and Mississippi State, the Bulldogs are favored. And, well, the closer you look, kind of like, well, yeah, of course they're favored. So we'll discuss that. We had a very, very fun sit-down with our guy Adam Zucker from CBS every single Saturday. He invades your home. He's so much fun. You're not going to want to miss that. And then we'll do a little Win Total Wednesdays at the end of the day. So what's happening, y'all? Welcome in. Again, thank you to FanDuel for putting the show on. Thank you to the Volume Sports Network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, and subscribe to the Snaps podcast. If you sign up for FanDuel, use the promo code SNAPS. Woo! Now that's all out the way. Woo. Aaron, what's up? Welcome in, man. Is Texas back?
You asking? Yes. I'm
yes,
right
I am
now.
asking. Wait, what
are
was
you
that
asking?
answer? Was that a yes to me?
I don't know if you were starting the show by just throwing the topic out there. Were you rhetorical question? Were you actually
look? My bad.
Me?
I should have been.
Okay.
I should have been a little more welcoming.
I mean,
how
I
are
didn't
you
know
doing
if
today?
the header there.
No, look,
good.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm doing very good. Thank you, T-Bob.
Okay,
right,
okay, that's great to hear.
What
about the Texas Longhorns? Are
back?
they doing good? Yes. Are they back? Are they legitimate powers? They are ranked in the AP top 25 now.
They are heading in the right direction. I'm not going to crown Texas as being back. I'm not going to say Texas is, now a contender to win the Big 12, a contender to maybe find a way to sneak into the playoffs at the end of the year. Like, I'm not sold on that. Am I sold on Texas in the next 2, 3, 4 years being extremely competitive as they head into the SEC? Yes, I am. I think they built a lot of momentum over this past weekend. They have a great recruiting class they're putting together right now. That's the name of the game, as we're seeing across the country, from what Alabama's done for the past 15 years to what Georgia's doing right now. I guess you can exclude Texas A&M because they've been doing it, but they're not having success, obviously. But you accumulate all these 4- and 5-star guys. You bring them to Austin. You have a coach in Sark that is in my opinion, has matured greatly under the leadership of Saban when he was there as the offensive coordinator. And he's going to have great offense. There's talent in the state. Austin is a hell of a town, one of the fastest growing towns in all of America. So, yeah, I think Texas is back in that sense. I'm very bullish over the next 3-4 years that Texas is going to arrive into the SEC and be prepared. Because that was a big question. Like, okay, if Texas showed up to SEC this year and faced an entire SEC schedule, what would their record be? I think they would be a 6-6, 7-5 team. But looking ahead, looking to 2024, 2025, whenever they do arrive in this conference, I think they're going to be well equipped and well armed to come in here and have success. So that's where I'm mostly heading to. But I you know what I hate though, T-Bob? I hate this nonsense that we should feel good as a football team because we were close to beating Alabama. Like, I don't feel good about losing a football game. Like, you're Texas. You're not some FCS team showing up playing Alabama. Like, no, you are Texas. You have 4- and 5-star guys littered on that roster. Your coaches are making millions of dollars. There is no I feel good pat on the back because you got close to being Alabama. Because you know what? Heading into that game, you know what they were saying in the locker room? We're going to beat Alabama. And I give you an example. 2010, we're facing Auburn on the road. and Auburn's number one team in the country. Cam Newton's the guy, and we weren't very good. But you know what? We were University of Georgia. We were heading into that game saying we're going to win this damn game. Like, there's no reason. We have just as good as players. We don't have Cam, but we have just as good as players everywhere else. There's no reason why we can't go in the Jordan Hare and win this damn football game. And we were, I think, winning at halftime. We ended up losing the football game. We didn't, after the game, say, oh, you know what? We were winning at halftime against number one team in the country. We feel good about that. The hell no. Like, we were freaking pissed. We believe we should have won that game. So if you're Texas, there is no, hey, pat on the back once again. No, screw that. Sark, shut up. We should have won the damn game.
Yeah, dude, look, I agree, Aaron. So that is partially my point where, I mean, have we not seen this script play out before? Like, Texas went, 9-4 and beat Georgia in a Sugar Bowl, and they weren't even back. And we're giving them back status after one close loss to an Alabama team that displayed a lot of the same weaknesses as a year ago? Like the same Alabama team that almost lost to a bad Florida team last year, that almost lost to a bad Auburn team last year, that almost lost to a bad LSU team last year. Because Texas did the same thing as those other bad teams did. I'm now supposed to believe that they're back, or that even that Sark is the guy? Now, I understand what you're saying. The potential of Texas is massive. The money is inexhaustible. Especially in the NIL era, it looks like they are probably better suited than ever than to take some major strides to become a dominant force. But guess what? Those have always been the advantages of Texas. Sure, maybe you couldn't pay players directly as much. Maybe it was having to be more under the table, and the numbers are not as large as they are now. But in terms of resources, resume, Texas always had that. But like we figured out recently, the only time that Texas has actually been dominant besides like a million years ago is really the 12 years that King of the Hill was on the television. Before and after, they've only been okay. So I don't, like, it's such a small sample size to make these sweeping grand claims with. Like, do it 2 weeks in a row. And then after you do it 2 weeks in a row, do it against maybe two quality opponents in a row. Because I saw a 2019 Texas team take the greatest football team I've ever seen, college football team I've ever seen live, the 2019 LSU Tigers. I saw them give them everything they wanted and then some. Like, LSU got lucky to win that game in Austin. That Texas team finished 5-4 in the Big 12, 8-5 overall. What are we talking about? So, okay, again, I get it. And even if you were asking me to predict, I think I'm inclined to agree with you on Sark. I think he probably is going to be the answer for Texas there. But I don't know that. And there's no Quinn Ewers. Hudson Card didn't look great. The fact that they get a close loss to Alabama, their quarterback gets hurt, and they get jumped up into the top 25 is some Texas exceptionalism, and I will not stand for it.
Listen, I agree with that. I'm not going to, you're back when you start winning your conference, and there's no reason why, when you look at the brand of Texas, and it is a massive brand. Like when the SEC went out there and got Oklahoma and Texas, and there's a lot of people excited, like, look what Oklahoma's done. They've been in the playoffs. They've had Heisman Trophy winners. They've had, number one picks in the draft. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. But the brand of Texas, it goes with USC. It goes with Alabama. It goes with Ohio State. Like, those are the brands in Notre Dame in college football. And to bring that over, I thought was obviously a gigantic plus for the SEC. Oklahoma too, obviously is an incredible addition. But win the damn conference first. Show me in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When you face Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. I actually said it right for the first time. Red River rivalry. Show me.
Not a shootout anymore, right?
Not a shootout. They decided to make it harder to say. Damn it. Show me that you could win that football game, that you can beat a quality opponent, that you can win your conference, not just show up in one big game against an out-of-conference team. I mean, they beat Georgia. They had the tough game, like you said, versus LSU. They just had a really good game against Alabama. All those games, to me, are easy to get up for. You can get up and you can plan your season. I guarantee you Texas has circled that game versus Alabama since January. Like, guys, this is our coming out party. This is our statement to the country. Great. But can you now compete the rest of the season? Can you compete for those 11 other games, and especially those conference games in the Big 12? That's the question, the consistency factor. Because once again, anyone can show up on any given Saturday, have a good game, your opponent has a bad game, and find a way to possibly sneak out a win.
Well,
So
okay, so the
I
part.
do. I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay,
No,
I
I
was
just
just gonna
think
say I hit
I
this
think they
delay
have the
sometimes.
pieces. I do think they have the pieces. I do think they have the pieces. I do. I am interested if Ewers didn't get hurt, if he
Yeah.
didn't get hurt, and how well he was playing, and if they were able to win that game, what we would be saying differently about Texas now. Because I still think, even if they won that game versus Alabama, that this is a team that's probably going to win around 9 games at best. And
And
does
would
that
be,
at the
I
end of the
think,
season, would you consider that Texas is back if you beat Alabama and win 9 games? Is
yeah,
that good
I mean,
enough?
okay, so for me, being realistic, I think 9 games would be a great season for
Yeah.
Texas. For me, for them to constitute being back, I need them playing meaningful Big 12 games the last 2 weeks of the season. I'm not even
Yep.
saying they have to make the conference championship, but they need to be in the conversation for it to where, oh, if they win, then, and maybe this team loses, then they're in. Or if they lose or out, they win, they're in. Like, control your own destiny, Texas. The Alabama loss does not affect you, like, in any way when it comes to the Big 12. And the Big 12 is solid, but there are no dragons, right? So the throne is up for grabs. And if Texas is going to be back, they have to fight for that throne. Marshall Knowles, and you said this as well as in your last statement, Aaron, and I agree with both of you. He says, is it also possible the game was almost lost by Bama rather than won by Texas? Ton of penalties, self-inflicted wounds by Alabama. And that's the other part. Alabama played an awful game. The most penalties, I think, ever. Definitely the most in the Saban era. Might be the most in school history. I mean, you got a Heisman Trophy winner, or excuse me, Heisman Trophy candidate in Will Anderson out there looking as frustrated as I've ever seen and getting off cheap shots. So I don't know, man. I understand the excitement from Texas fans, but no, I cannot give them back status after 1 week.
You know what? You know what the
see.
state of Texas is? You know what the state of Texas is right now? The state of Texas is the next year state. Because what do we say about A&M? Just wait till next year. What do we say about Texas? Just wait till next year. I mean, it is literally dubbed the wait till next year state. I mean, it just, as a fan, it would drive me crazy. I know there's you got to have some kind of hope. I mean, there has to be some way to put fans in the seats and keep them excited about buying the merchandise. But enough's enough about this whole next year thing, because we keep hearing it over and over again from both those teams in that state. Let's just not set it. Why don't we as a Texas fan or an Aggie fan just enjoy the process? Enough with next year. Enough with, we're going to join the SEC. Just enjoy football and be surprised.
No one wants to anymore, dude.
Don't set the bar so damn high that you're constantly setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's the problem in that state. They set the bar here, and it's just right now it's not attainable. So let's just lower the expectations and enjoy it.
It's one of the most frustrating parts about college football fans is they see, like, I always use the space program analogy, right? They see Alabama, and Alabama's like developing crops on Mars. Like, they have sustainable living on the red planet. That's how advanced they are. And you're like, oh, I want to be there. You haven't even been to orbit. Like, we got to send a human being to low orbit first, and then we worry about, okay, let's get sustained flight. Then we land on the moon. Then we develop on the moon, and then eventually use that as a relay. Then we get to Mars. Like Joe Burrow and LSU in 2019. That was like some sort of alien technology that was discovered and like reverse engineered. Like, that doesn't happen. It is a process, and it takes time. It's why I'm bullish on long term at LSU right now, even despite the very real short-term fears that I have. And so this kind of translates perfectly into our second topic here, Aaron, a little panic in the P-Row. As Will Rogers and Mississippi State are coming to town. I've been watching Mississippi State and LSU film all week. I do not feel great about this on a few different fronts. Will Rogers looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Your own quarterback rankings have reinforced that. And then Jaden Daniels, while the athleticism is elite And the results have been great, right? Here recently, talk about like last 8 drives. That's that everybody keeps using. Last 8 drives have resulted in touchdowns. And that is true. But when I watch that film, I see a Will Rogers that throws the ball like 3 seconds before his receiver is on the spot and it drops in there perfectly. And then I see a Jane Daniels who he doesn't seem to play with a lot of anticipation. And he can still change the game because as Leslie, but like he needs guys to be wide open. Like there's a few times, or even against Southern, I'm watching film and you can see that Booty or somebody's about to break behind the defender. His hips are flipped, and so it's like, okay, just throw it to the spot he's going to be. And he just doesn't seem to have it in him right now. And that is a massive red flag for me, considering the offensive line still doesn't look good. And wide receiver is your best position group. But if you can't anticipate, you're going to struggle to feed your best position group.
All right, first off, first question is it Booty or Booty? Booty?
He says Booty.
We're going with Booty?
Traditionally,
he says Booty.
Traditionally, it's that last name is Booty, traditionally.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But
we're going with Booty.
You want to pronounce it how somebody pronounced it? Yes, Booty, just straight up Booty. He says just Booty. I love Booty. It too. I mean, I love Booty.
We all love Booty. You know what? Speaking of Booty, the fact they got Kayshawn involved early in the game last week, I thought was good. They needed to. They got some jet sweeps, some easy completions. Just get the ball and get him feeling good. Same thing with Neighbors there. You get John Emery back at running back. I think that's a huge plus for them right now. Not to put the entire running scheme and pressure on Jaden. And he will get better. You say, okay, he's not anticipating like he should. Well, he's only been 2 weeks into the system. And let's not forget, he was in a three-way quarterback battle for the majority of spring, summer, and fall camp. So he hasn't had that time. And you look at the other side, Will Rogers, this is his third year in the system. You know, there's a reason why he's able to anticipate throws. It's because he knows he's been in it. He's worked with these receivers, and it's just like, you know, it's second nature to him at this point. So that's the big difference. But obviously the positive for Jaden is his legs. He can run the ball like some of the best runners out there in the country right now. So, you know, I love Mississippi State. You know, I have them extremely high ranked. I thought they were the third best team heading into the season in the SEC. I still have them ranked as my third best team in the SEC right now. And it's not just Will Rogers, but when you look at the receivers, because this offense, this air raid offense is as much about the receivers as it is about the quarterback. They have to know what they're doing against every single coverage, changing the routes, being on the same page so that a Will Rogers can trust that, hey, if I hit my back step and I'm reading too high or single high, and I know this receiver should do this, I can just let it rip. And that goes to, once again, trust from both guys and knowing what the hell to do. And when I look at the receivers from Mississippi State, they got little fast guys that work well in the slot. They got 6'4", 6'5" receivers that they can move around the field too. Like, they have a little bit of everything. And all those guys are just in complete sync right now. I love what they have on the defensive side of the football as well. They get some bruisers. Their linebackers aren't afraid to get nasty in the blitz game. It's just a really good team on both sides of the football. And we saw it last year. We're seeing it early on this season. It was a great road win last weekend versus Arizona. And let's not forget, last time Mississippi State went to Baton Rouge, it was fireworks. So can LSU figure it out? Can they score enough points? I still am bullish on LSU with their talent, but I just think Mississippi State, like I said, at the end of the day, is just a really good team playing at a high level right now. And Will Rogers is in complete command of that offense. And it's scary to watch. The air raid can work in the SEC, and they're going to show it first off this weekend, I believe.
So, okay, as far as the last trip to LSU, I can guarantee you will not have a repeat of what happened with KJ Costello, right? That was a function of Bo Pelini being like, hey, let's literally play the worst defensive call that you could make against the air raid, and let's do it the entire game. It was like psychopathic. The talent thing is interesting, Aaron, because I agree with you. Like, as far as NFL players on the roster, LSU has more. I don't know how well suited LSU is to exploiting that, though, because I have major questions on the offensive line. And I'm not even overly impressed with Mississippi State's defense. I think they're all right. They got some big bodies on the line. I don't think the line is as good as Florida State's line was, which I was very guilty of underrating. But the thing is, I'm not really impressed with LSU's offense. The O-line, there were a lot of MAs, a lot of bad technique against Southern. And Mississippi State's D-line not be great, but they're going to be better than that. And LSU right now runs a more traditional rhythmed offense in terms of how quickly Jaden's getting rid of the ball. Like, they're going to have to hold these blocks. And so they're so like, yes, they're more talented, but a lot of the talent's a wide receiver. Can you get the ball to the wide receivers consistently? Yes, you're more talented, but you did lose your best player in Mason Smith on that defensive line. What role can the D-line even play this game? I mean, Mississippi State, I would love to play a line for Mississippi State. You don't got to hold the block. Well, Rogers gets rid of the ball. They're not even picking up stunts correctly. It doesn't matter because you just don't have time to get back there. If I'm a D lineman for LSU, I'm just making sure that I'm getting my hands up to try to knock the ball down. Look at this. Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I think the big question in the topic is, can Coach Kelly hang in the SEC? And I don't think they have to win this football game. And this, kind of goes and contradicts what I was talking about earlier with Texas. Like, but they're at different levels right now. I don't think LSU necessarily has to win this game for us to feel good about the Tigers. I know them in that locker room right now. They know they're talented. I think they believe that they have just as much talent, if not more talent than Mississippi State, and that they should win this football game, especially being at home. But if to me as an outsider, if I see a competitive game, if I see LSU making less mistakes than they did versus Florida State, if I see better play at the offensive line and defensive line, then I'll feel good saying, okay, like there is a chance for this team to be competitive as they continue to build chemistry, as they continue to buy into what Coach Kelly's preaching on both sides of the football. So just make it good. If they win, then I think that accelerates, because all of a sudden you're talking about you win that game. Most likely you beat New Mexico. Yeah. I think they're better than Auburn. You could be 4-1 heading into that game versus Tennessee at home. And Tennessee at that time, most likely, I'm pulling up their schedule right now, most likely is going to be undefeated. They got a tough game versus Florida, and then get a bye before they go to LSU. But if you're 4-1, welcoming in Tennessee to your place, and you prove that you can slow down this offense, which is very similar to what Mississippi State runs, I think a lot of LSU fans are going to be really sipping that Kool-Aid pretty hard for Coach Kelly. Once again, I'm not anticipating a win. I just want to see, we knew you're going to play good versus Southern. Can we see improvement from what you look like against a quality opponent in Florida State to now, I think, an even better opponent in Mississippi State?
We will see, and we'll continue to break it down here on Snap. Shout out to Darth Jameis. First off, love the name. Darth Janis, excuse me. Says with this $5 super chat, been watching Georgia since I was born. Love seeing T-Bob, my favorite UJ QB ever, do their thing. Bread for the boys. Shout out to you, Darth Jameis. He also says, go Dogs from Dallas, Texas, the state of losers. Hell yeah, dude. All right. So earlier today, me and Aaron got to sit down with Adam Zucker, CBS Sports. He's in your home every weekend. Adam is awesome. Check it out for yourself, and we'll be back with some Win Total Wednesday on the other side. Hey, what's up, y'all? We got a brand new guest here on Snaps, the man who invades your home every single Saturday, with or without your consent. It's our guy, Adam Zucker, CBS Sports Network, hosting all kinds of shows year-round down here in my part of the country. I know him best for hosting SEC on CBS every Saturday, hanging out with me since 2014. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, man. What's going on?
Hey, man, thanks for letting me invade your space here. I know I come out yelling a lot, so people are often feeling pretty invaded when when we embark on our shows. But it's good to see you. It's good to see my old teammate Murtaugh.
Yeah,
my lethal weapon.
The tenor of that voice. If you're listening here, God, Adam, you have such a beautiful voice, and I want to talk to you about your origins before we get into any like college football talk here. Because I was doing a little reading up on you, right? Classic, the Syracuse broadcast journalism degree. You get out in 98. You've got this amazing voice. What was your path like, when you get out of school until you whenever you got that big call from CBS?
Yeah, man, I got really, really lucky, and timing was huge, and relationships were a big part of it. And I credit a guy named Rob King, who's a great anchor in Pittsburgh to this day. He was my teacher at Syracuse, and I had an internship with Anthony Calhoun. Who's made a lifelong career a sportscaster in Indianapolis. I interned with them, and right as I was graduating and everybody was sending out VHS tapes, nowadays the kids just shoot links around. I had a VHS tape and it was sending it off to like Green Bay, Yuma, Arizona, Missoula, Montana. And this job opened up at the CBS affiliate in Syracuse, and I had interned there. They give you an opportunity to do an anchor tape on their set. And really it was about having those guys vouch for me in terms of, hey, he'll drive to the dirt track on a Friday night and record some video, and he'll go interview somebody live and make it fun, and not really like try to crowd out the anchor desk, just go do some features, do the shooting, the editing and whatnot. And I was pumped because that fall I also became the sideline reporter and studio host for the Syracuse football. But that was the year where McNabb, Rob Conrad, Quentin Spotwood, Marlon Greenwood, Keith Bullock, all these guys who went pro, Dwight Freeney, really sick team that ended up going to the Orange Bowl, lost to the Gators. So that was sweet. But as great as that job was, that industry, local TV, I got downsized. They actually told me I was going to get laid off. And without going into the ultra minutia of it, my boss helped me get the job in Scranton Wilkes-Barre, where I ended up being more like AAA Phillies, Penguins, and whatnot. 3.5 years into that, auditioned for a job at College Sports Television, got that, and CBS bought College Sports Television, creating what is now CBS Sports Network. And over time, filled in for Timmy B. And then when Tim left, I was able to get that chair, which makes me eligible to come on your show.
Hell yes, dude.
You are, as my wife likes to call, one of the best voices, as T-Bob said, in all of college football. And it's going to have a little bit of a different ring with all this realignment going on. What are your overall thoughts with just the landscape of college football? You've seen a lot. You're touching it. You're feeling. You're talking about it all the time. Are you happy with everything going on with off the field at the moment?
I really think that it's obviously gone crazy. And it was almost like by letting the players make a few bucks now, we've greenlit where the schools are going to make even more. But what I do like in terms of what's happened, because I do love it, I want to focus on the positive at all. The fact that the playoff will go to 12 opens the door for those conferences that might be feeling a little left behind in the realignment dust at the moment. Because in the end, it's all about who wins a championship, right? I mean, I know they're all trying to make a lot of money, and the network I work for, the network Aaron works for, of course, they're paying more money than ever because live TV, live sports is the thing that really rates in real time anymore. And so while those other conferences might be getting left behind at the moment, the fact that the door is now open for them to have their champion in the playoff to have a chance at winning the national championship, that felt like a stabilizing move. Even though a few years ago expanding the playoff was like the real crazy thing, now it to me feels like the stabilizer.
And Adam, you kind of made you want to focus on the positive, and we're there with you, right? I mean, it's impossible to fight the change. You have to just enjoy what the best parts of it are. And so when you look at your job, what is your favorite part of your job and what you get to do?
Well, if we're getting into like the real TV thing that I love to do is when something goes wrong or the unexpected happens, and how I react both calmly and creatively to be there for when, like, either there's a big weather delay. Like my first game day after I took over for Timmy B fully, we had Gus Malzahn in studio. We had Georgia, South Carolina. It was the game that was decided by the chain link first down conversion. But we had a lightning delay for 90 minutes before the game started. So for all the scripted stuff that we had in that hour prior to kickoff, it was just after that when we suddenly had to dance for 90 minutes. And so, like, at that point, Gus is at Auburn, and he came in because it was his week off. But at one point, he just looked over to me in the middle of like a soundbite or something where Allie LaForce was interviewing whoever was monitoring the lightning bolts. and he just looked over at me, and this was like peak Gus, hurry up offense. I mean,
Yeah.
like a guy who most people have trouble keeping up with, and he just turned to me and BJ, and he's just like, how are we even doing this right now? And so I kind of love those moments. We've had some shows where live golf, live soccer is coming on before us, and so we have to compress the show or expand the show. And I just love, like, my producer Tim, who's in my ear, my director Linda. They're just amazing, and I feel like I'm in a cockpit, and they're just telling me
Hell
what's
yeah.
up. And so I love that stuff. And of course, when big upsets happen, and Auburn upsets Alabama, and women are getting stuck in the hedges at Auburn, and we just get to have fun and put verbal captions on pictures. That's what I crave, because college football is just so unique in that way.
Give us a little taste for Saturdays in studio. I know you just did a little bit with maybe some of the adjustments you guys have to make, but like when you show up, to the makeup, to the rehearsals, to kind of what you're doing during the game, the first and second quarter, then halftime, and then afterwards, munching on some snacks, all that good stuff.
So you're asking because you don't need makeup, I guess. You want to know what it feels like to have makeup put on?
To put the full.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could use
for those who don't know, I always used to have to follow Adam, and I would show up probably 10, 15 minutes late, and everyone's bitching at me, but I was like, the man needs to get pretty, and I just need a couple of little powders on, and I'm fine.
That's such a QB1 move. Oh my god,
yeah,
dude.
Totally, right? You can come 20 minutes late, because soon they're gonna be powdering the bald spot on the back of my head. Oh, you guys have a nice photo of me. Yeah. Is that photo of me from the future? Did I lose all that hair already up front? What is that?
No, dude, okay. I want to be clear here, Zuck. When I saw that photo, I told bro, I'm like, dude, I don't think that's fully representative of what I feel like Adam Zucker looks like. Adam Zucker looks like a lost Hemsworth brother. Like, you're a beautiful man. Like, I wanted to ask you about your skincare routine. I was shocked when I read that you were born in 1976. What is your skincare routine, by the way? But yeah, no, man, I don't know, dude. I would talk to I would talk to your boys at CBS. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's representative.
I think we need to just get a picture of me in my cargo shorts with my calves popping, throwing a disc, and that would be fully representative. Maybe something where I don't look. That looks like I just reinflated at the SEC Media Days buffet line and in need of a haircut. Man,
wait,
I'm bulging out. All right, we got to work on that. I guess I know my off-season routine. Aaron, I'm gonna need some advice from you on making that jacket a little less balloony. What was your question, by the way?
Come on,
my question was Zuck. Now my question is True Zuck cargo shorts and disc golf? Like, is that distilled down to your purest form?
I did evolve out of the cargo shorts. We're into like, the mesh, the exercise shorts with pockets for sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe a nice pair of golf shorts.
Little Lululemon for Zucker?
Lululemon and I don't necessarily get along, man.
Oh.
Interesting. I don't like going in places and feeling like I've been phased out. I got to be honest with you. Although if they want to pay me to wear their stuff, I'm in.
Oh man. Okay, Aaron. I guess What was your question, Aaron?
I think. See, I never knew, until I got into the business, like what exactly you guys are doing. Like you just magically show up at halftime, and you're on my TV. Like, God,
there it is.
Calves. Look at those calves. Are you wearing athletic tape on your shoulder too?
State Park in Pennsylvania.
Are you wearing athletic tape on the shoulder?
That is keto tape, man.
No way.
Tricep strain throwing the frisbee.
That thing was
going all
the way around
for the disc golf.
Well, you know what it was? That's in Pennsylvania, and my buddy Mike runs this event, and I was dying to get there. We're in pandemic mode, and so I drove out that morning, and like, my left hand was on the wheel, my right hand was like coffee, and then I think I just basically locked my right arm over the top of my steering wheel, and I showed up, and I'm like, oh crap, I can't like, I was like spazzing out. That was about as close to a beard as I had gotten. That was I really
mountain man there.
Picture.
I kind of like that.
You do look pretty.
You can see the left
there,
calf just popping a little bit. That's a beautiful state park, and
Phil Mickelson better watch out.
Yeah. Disc golf actually went with like the live model to some extent before ball golf did. When Todd Rainwater basically took over the DGPT with the Disc Golf Network. So they threw the money at it in advance and cooperated with the PDGA instead of what we've seen on the ball side of things. But not that you wanted to know that.
I love it. No, I follow
T-Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
Adam is to disc golf what you are to
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. I mean,
yes,
that's
yeah.
You can nerd out pretty good there.
It's
That's
funny.
an honor.
I follow a random amount of professional disc golf accounts. I don't entirely know why. I've never played it myself, but I kind of enjoy watching the highlights sometimes on Twitter. Okay, Zuck. Wow, I have so many different directions. I love that you James Harden just pushed through it for that tournament too. That's very impressive stuff.
Can we go back to my question though, T-Bob?
Yeah, what was the question? Good call.
Give us behind the scenes. Saturday, what's going on?
Yeah,
man. Just magically show up at halftime.
Right. Well, and pregame. I know maybe more people watch halftime, I'm sure, than pregame because then you're already watching. But we go through and rehearse a lot of our pregame stuff just for timing and to see what things are going to look like. But the whole way we have 12 TVs set up in the background that we can watch all the games on, so we're not missing too much. And then when you have a Saturday like this past one, I mean, like Washington State over Wisconsin was like an afterthought because we're so glued on what App State was doing at A&M and Marshall at Notre Dame, and you just become locked in on those games. So we're watching all along. We're reacting to things that we see and telling our producer, who's hearing us grunt the whole way anyway. BJ's yelling and screaming about Texas and Alabama, as you would probably assume.
Mm-hmm.
And then when certain moments happen, things we don't see, they'll show them to us. They can play them for us. I can listen to any game. I've got like a little panel under the desk, so I can dive in and listen to almost any game. I can also listen to what's being said during commercial break, or at least shown to the announcers of those games during commercial break. So I'll do that for reviews of instant replays. But man, when they don't close the announcer mics, that's something that can be an education. And so when you're doing games, just keep that in mind. I wouldn't worry about me listening so much as just others out there listening. And so we're able to watch all that stuff and looking at stats. And me, Rick, and BJ, we sit out on that set the whole time, and we're talking about a lot with our game, especially when we get into Penn State Auburn this week. Air Force Colorado was a pretty simple deal. Air Force is just running like crazy like they did week one. So we knew what we were showing. And then this week we'll be keying on our game, picking out what plays we want to see and and whatnot. So yeah, we'll get makeup, we'll rehearse, and then our producers, their goal is to let us watch as much football as possible. So we don't just sound like we were watching. It's true we were watching. So yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, there you go, dude. You got what you were looking for. Do not be problematic on the mic during commercial break, because there are others out there with access to that feed.
I got caught week one. Somehow our feed went live to the fans, and I didn't say anything bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't say it. So this is what I said. So my producer, I'm covering an Auburn game. So my producer's in my ear like, hey, we're coming out of commercial break. We're going to talk about Georgia's big win versus Oregon. I'm like, dude, you're going to, I'm going to piss off a bunch of Auburn fans by saying this. And that was live. So now all these Auburn fans are like, Aaron was wanting to piss us all off. What an a-hole. Screw Aaron.
Yes.
Never put Aaron on an Auburn game again. I'm like, no, I was trying not to piss you off by gloating about how Georgia just waxed that ass against, but they, of course, flipped it and turned me into some bad guy that I should never call an Auburn game again.
I never thought about how you're up against it. You're up against it from the start. You're the Georgia guy,
Yeah, I am. And I was just loving on Auburn the entire game too. Like, I've never said so many good things about Auburn for like 60 minutes of TV time. And
dude, all you're gonna have to do is disagree with a call all you're gonna have to do is say something about a call that goes against them and say that it was the right call, and you're gonna be buried.
This is one of my biggest issues with people who watch SEC on CBS. Everybody thinks that Gary Danielson rides on Alabama, and it's and hates their team. I'm like, no, he's actually very sharp. Alabama's just better than everybody and kicks the crap out of everybody. You're not going to go out of your way to talk badly. What are you talking about, dude?
And Alabama's
ability to play the victim is.
Oh yeah, They could have been called for another 5 or 6 defensive holdings or pass interference calls against Texas. Gary is so sharp. Gary's genius level. I mean, Aaron, you could probably even speak to it better because you're a former quarterback and doing games and the stuff he sees. I know a lot of that goes into what you see at practice too, but I mean, I'm always like, wow, Gary is like spot on. And then, you need Gene Steratore, you bring in Gene Steratore.
Yep. Oh, 100%. All right. So first, I think this is the first 3:30 SEC game this weekend. Auburn's hosting Penn State. We remember how awesome that game was last year there at Happy Valley. Just kind of, I know it's early in the week, but what's your initial thought of Auburn this year, and can they pull off the win?
I wouldn't be so confident if I were an Auburn fan after the first couple weeks, right? Like 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions from the QBs, and you got the Robbie Ashford kids running for more yards than Tank Bigsby was in this last game. Maybe they're saving something. Like Brian Harsin comes off as that coach who get blood out of a rock week 1 and 2 to not give Penn State anything to look at on tape type of guy, So maybe, but I based on how Clifford played last year, I would think that Penn State can get this done on the road. Unless Auburn's hiding something and whatnot. I know Auburn's players feel like they should have won last year though in Happy Valley. But from what I've seen so far, small sample size, I would think Penn State's going to be able to win this, and the fact that they went to Purdue week 1 plays to their benefit as well.
Adam, okay, I'm going to ask you on the way out here the most interesting question in college football right now. Who is the 3rd best team in the SEC?
3rd best team in the SEC. So not even the East/West, the whole conference.
Nope,
the whole conference. So obviously Alabama, Georgia 1-2. Who is
Arkansas.
It's a sexy question. Okay, there we go, dude. Easy. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Right on, Adam.
I'm going to go Arkansas.
Why?
I mean, A&M might have been the answer for a lot of people prior to this past week. A&M might be 1-5. They might start 1-5. They could lose to Miami, Arkansas neutral site, then at Mississippi State, and then at Alabama.
Ay.
And Kentucky's pretty darn good too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. It's kind of the Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky triumvirate right now, and I can't wait.
Mississippi State.
Oh yeah, and Mississippi. You're right. My bad.
No love.
My bad.
The Cowbells.
I know.
No, I'm digging them too, man. Believe me. Filling out my AP top 25 every week. I hate it in the early portion of the year because you get some good 1-1 teams, some decent 2-0 teams. But it starts getting a little easier as more games get played. You want a crazy, sexy game you didn't expect, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Arkansas at BYU, October 15th.
I know.
Ooh.
In Provo. Like what?
Arkansas just wants to abuse themselves.
Who's got those things for Arkansas? Michigan's out here playing nobody, and Arkansas's out here like we'll. I mean, I get. You know what? It is kind of a feral hog attitude. It's like, fuck it, dude. I don't care. I'll fight him. All right, let's do it, dude. Yeah,
I love it.
Okay,
they're the lovable piggies.
Yeah, dude. I'm with you, man. I've been
meet
very
you at the trough, man.
Exactly. Adam Zucker, CBS Sports. He'll be in studio this weekend, keeping you company all day long. As we watch little Auburn Penn State. There he is in his happy place on the course, looking
so
great.
happy.
Fantastic. I mean, that is true happiness. It's a great image to end this on. Adam, thank you so much, man. Again, you're beautiful. We'll get into your skincare routine next time. You have an excellent day. Welcome back to Snaps, and a huge thank you to our friend Adam Zucker. A lot of fun there. Who'd have guessed? Zuck, big disc golf guy. Carson Reinhart in the YouTube chat says, he's talking about Mississippi State. Looks like we finally got a little Hail State fan in here. Talking about 60,000 cowbells. Well, at least LSU won't have to worry about that this weekend.
Yep.
Aaron, when did you get your fancy, actual, real Secret Service looking earpiece here? Have you had that every day?
You like that?
Am I just noticing it? Yeah.
I just, I hold these damn lights in my little makeshift office down here. I start sweating my ass off. Then you got those big Beat headphones on, and I'm just dripping. So No, these are my studio earpieces. This is
Okay.
this is what happens when you go in studio.
You got the custom
Fits
mold?
custom mold, goes directly in
No.
the ear. Yes.
Oh my God.
If you're gonna
The
do it
QB1
right,
energy.
G-Bob. I'm not gonna mess around.
I agree.
I do have a funny story about Zucker. I know we got to get going with these picks, but speaking of him in disc golf,
Yeah.
every time he comes to Atlanta, I'm like, dude, come on, Zuck, let's go to dinner. Let's go to dinner. And the first couple times before we really knew each other, he's like, nah, found out that he was out there playing disc golf instead of coming over. And then finally last year, he finally came over to the Murray Hassel for some dinner. But I mean, everywhere he goes, like I think he's actually sponsored. Like he gets sponsored to play big time Zuck. So he don't mess around.
I believe
with
it.
him. Yeah.
No, I believe it. And I'm not lying. I actually do follow a few of the professional disc golf accounts. It's pretty cool. I've never played it though. I have played football, which is why we're going to answer some football questions here. It is Wednesday, which means it's time for a little Win Total Wednesday. Get it? And we're going to start with your boys, Aaron, the Dogs. These are regular season win totals. Over under. Georgia currently sitting at 11.5. So basically saying, will they go undefeated or not?
Yep. No, they will. They'll go undefeated. I wasn't unsure, but there were games that you circled on the schedule for Georgia. This weekend at South Carolina. Maybe end of the year, Tennessee comes into town, I believe, in early November. Could those be slip-up games? South Carolina, unless some magic happens, there's no way in hell that they're going to beat Georgia. Tennessee, I think, will be interesting. It's in Athens. I think the Dogs know that that's their game that everyone thinks they're going to lose, so they're not going to sleep on them. They're better. They're the best team in the country. There really is no weaknesses. We talked about it yesterday in the show. Good on offense, good on defense, good on special teams. I just don't see anyone beating them. I think right now, even FanDuel has them right now every single game double-digit, essentially favorites going out. So 12-0 for the Dogs. 15-0 for the Dogs.
Yeah, well, I hate it, but I'm actually in agreement. And I think my answer will make more sense here in a little bit. If you're asking whether or not Georgia's going to go undefeated, like we said yesterday, we have yet to see a weakness, and therefore I will err on the side of yes, they will go 12-0. Now, the second team, Ohio State, is in the same boat at 11.5 wins. And while it's certainly possible, it feels like a lot of the Big Ten is probably closer to Ohio State than we realize. Like they feel more trip-upable, especially against how they struggled with Notre Dame, and Notre Dame going on to lose to Marshall. So if you ask me, will Georgia go undefeated? I'll say yes. If you ask me, will Ohio State go undefeated? I'm saying no. I mean, I'm just playing the math there that somebody's going to get them. So Georgia over, Ohio State under.
I still think they're the best team. I mean, they got road games at Michigan State, at Penn State. I think we're going to learn a lot about who Penn State is this weekend versus Auburn. But, let's not forget that first game versus Notre Dame. It's still a very good Notre Dame defense without Jackson Smith and Jigba and another one of their top receivers who are going to be back this weekend. So I think when healthy, Ohio State, in my mind, is the second best team in America behind Georgia and before Alabama. I think they're better than everyone on their schedule. Yeah, 2 tricky away games like I alluded to, but I anticipate with that offense, with who they have, and if once again, knock on wood, this is with every elite team, can you just stay healthy? Can you get out of your own way? I think Ohio State definitely has a chance to go 12-0, so I'll take them going undefeated this year.
Okay, interesting. Michigan, over or under 10.5 wins?
I'm going to go under for Michigan. I'm happy with who they picked, with JJ going to be the starting quarterback. I want to see more from him. I know he's a great athlete. I think he's a good thrower, not a great thrower. And I just don't know if you're one-dimensional on offense for Michigan, if you're going to be able to win games against Penn State, against Michigan State, then obviously on the road against Ohio State. Good thing for them, unlike Ohio State, they get Penn State and Michigan State at home. They should take care of the rest of their schedule. So really, it's can they win those 2 games? I think they drop one of them. They play them back-to-back weekends there in mid-October. I think they lose one of those games and then lose at Ohio State end of the season. So they'll end up having 10 wins. So give me the under.
I'm going under as well. And I'm with you. I think 10-2 probably sounds like the record because I think they're very good at special teams and defense. It's the Texas thing. It's too small of a sample size for me to give McCarthy and Harbaugh with the quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt as of yet. Do it against not Hawaii. Who's Vanderbilt's quarterback? Because even he looked fantastic against Hawaii.
Mike Wright.
And we all saw what happened when he ran up against Wake Forest. So no. I'm going under on Michigan, but I'm willing to have my mind changed there. Over under 9.5 wins for USC is one of my big predictions for the year. I think we did it on an earlier win total Wednesday. I mean, I still firmly think this is a USC team that wins 10 regular season games. In fact, I feel better than ever about it after watching that offensive line play and learning about Brett Nealon yesterday. So yes, over on the Trojans.
Yep, I'm with you, over on the Trojans as well. They look good. Toughest game is going to be at Utah middle of the season, and that's it. They are just better than everyone else on that schedule right now. And I think they're better than Utah too. Utah plays well at home. It's a tough place to play. I think they take care of business. I think they could go. I think they can win 11 games. Shoot, I think they can win 12 games. We'll see what the defense looks like, but damn, they look good on offense.
Texas A&M 7.5. Aaron, what you got?
Under. I'm just trying to find wins in the conference for A&M. I'm making up reasons why they're going to win games, but until they can prove that they can score points and that they're willing to change it up at the quarterback spot, I have zero faith in Jimbo and this football team. I think they could win 5 games. I think 6 is kind of the max, maybe 7. Definitely under that 7.5 win total, though.
Yeah, you look at that schedule, man. And you'd have to give them the benefit of the doubt on a few games where you cannot feel comfortable doing that right now to get them to 8 wins. I mean, even to 7. So, no, I feel very firm about the A&M under the 7.5. Texas 7.5, I'm going under. No Quinn Ewers, what pushes me across the finish line there. But I would say that I'm probably going to be more wrong there than on A&M, famous last words. I'm going under on Texas as well. Where are you?
I'm gonna go under 2. I'm not sold. We started the show by talking about this. I'm not sold on Texas being back this year. Congratulations, you played a really competitive game, but you still lost. And your quarterback's banged up. Mixed reports about when he's going to be back on the field. I still think there's questions of who are the top skill players behind the running back and your top receiver. Can you find more guys consistent that can step up consistently? So, yeah, I think they're a good team, not a great team. I think they're going to struggle in conference play, a decent conference. So I'm going to go under that 7.5 for Texas too.
Last one, Notre Dame, 6.5 wins, over or under.
Ooh.
So the 0-2 start is killer here.
Yeah.
The 0-2 start is killer here. When I look at this and then Buckner being hurt, man, I feel bad saying it because it's not all how I thought the season was going to go, but I think I got to go under the 6.5.
I mean, how could you not? With what we've seen through 2 weeks, you can't score points. You're starting quarterbacks out for the season now. I guess I'll say that. For Notre Dame. Give me the under. They're going to struggle mightily this year.
Yeah. Someone call the Pope because there's about to be a schism up in South Bend if this thing goes too south. Aaron Murray, thank you so much, man. Always fantastic. Our own personal QB1 here. Our excellent producer, Ryan Brumley, making it all happen. And to you, everybody hanging out with us every day on Snaps, we love you. Continue to help us grow this thing. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the podcast feed. Rate it and review it. Tell your friends about Snaps, okay? And check out Papa Colin with Joe Burrow. Just dropped Volume Sports Network. And shout out to FanDuel, promo code SNAPS. Y'all have an excellent day. We'll see you tomorrow.